everyone, I am so glad you're here today, and today I have an amazing message that you would not want to miss. Okay, so what are student loans? Student loans are probably the most burdensome, cumbersome, fear-evoking debts that are upon college graduates, and today I want to speak towards these things that are in our hearts, I would say. So basically, my testimony starts through a background story where I basically went to college so I can become a biblical studies major, and studied Christian ministry so I can be on the field to talk about Jesus to people who may be experiencing poverty. And I also went to get my second degree so I can basically tell others how we can use finances to help help people not to experience poverty. So this was my huge ambition. This was where my heart was, and it still is, serving God and serving others. So I graduated with close to $50,000 with Parent Plus loan for my first degree, and it is so, looking back, how terrified I was just to even look at my account. And it was so bad just to even see how much I owed. And I remember just telling my mom, and my mom is a prayer warrior, and she loves serving God, loves serving others as well. And she told this elderly man that she worked for about her daughter's situation, and how much I wanted to serve others, but how this debt has been something that kept holding me back. And he felt the lead to basically write the whole check for $50,000, and $10,000 included in that 50 because that was my Parent Plus loan. And God used him to literally wipe out my entire debt. And it's interesting because I also got my master's degree while I still had those debt, and I had no idea that God was gonna wipe it clean. And as soon as I finished my second degree in development, I went back to Ethiopia to start a non-profit organization. As you know, Springs of Living Water works for girls and women and children that are trafficked, that are orphans, and everything in between. And we want to help rescue these vulnerable individuals and house them. However, I still had $40,000 remaining in my student loan, and I remember just praying about these loan and asking God to intervene in this situation. And I found out from my undergraduate studies that there's a program that helps people like myself who are serving to basically help in paying off their student debt as long as they are still on the field. And what's interesting is, as soon as I started this nonprofit, the Lord has brought this into existence, and I had no idea. I just got an email saying we would like to help out with paying off your student debt, and I just cried. And they have promised that the $40,000 remaining is going to be wiped out, and in total God has literally paid off $93,000 plus. I say plus because the interest that has been occurring was completely it was just too much. And it is interesting how the Lord just intervened in that situation. So many people could attest to this. If you are in the mission field, or if you're serving, or if you're in the social work, field, it is very hard for your loans to be paid off. And and it's not like you're working and whatever you get can pay it off as well. But the Lord intervened in this situation, and I pray that God will intervene in any situation that you may have. I don't know if it is house debt or car debt or debt in general that brings people down. And I remember how afraid I was too. And I want to end this video as well with just some tips that I have. And those tips, first thing I would say is, don't be afraid to look at your student loans. I say this because I remember how afraid I was to look at my student loans. I would be so scared to even go into the Great Lakes and see how much I owed. You guys, don't be terrified. Don't be scared, because what is the point of being so afraid? And it's not like your fear is gonna wipe it clean. Second thing I would say is, if you already have a strategic plan in how you can tackle your student loans, I would say allow some room for God to intervene as well. I do believe that we live in a society where we're so independent that we don't even let God enter into these things that we are burdened with. Also, I would also suggest that if you're a high school student looking into going to college, one tip I will give you is pray to see if this is God's will for your future. Because if it is God's will, He will provide. Whatever it is God's will, He always provides, always. So see what God wants you to do. And if you have other options, like going to a community college or whatever it is, I would say, if it is in line with God's will, see what you can do to look into those as well. And if you are graduate students, if you're already done but you are just burdened with this thing, other than stop fearing and praying, I would also suggest to read some books that I have also read that have been somehow empowering. Actually, I've seen some videos with David Ramsey, I think his name is, and he talks about financial intelligence and talks about how we can, as students and with student loans, how we can tackle these things that are burden. So I would also advise for us to look into that as well, humbly. Other than that, I would really believe and suggest for God to move in any situation that you are facing with. He is a God that listens. He's a God that listens to prayers. He's a God that will provide, not only provide, but come with you, not next to you, in ways that you can never imagine. So this is my short testimony, and I pray that you have been somehow touched, blessed, encouraged. If all of that didn't work, I pray that you're not afraid to look at your student loans right in the face, and see what God has done for others who were in debt before. And today I'm so happy to say I am free. I am free. I am free of student loans, and it feels so good and amazing, and I want to serve God even faster than I have been, and I want to go all out for His glory, because He's done so much for me. And I pray that you would see what He will do with a life just totally surrendered to Him. And yeah, that's all. Thank you for listening.